This is the VOA Special English Education Report. Millions of high school students have read To Kill a Mockingbird. The novel by Harper Lee offers moral lessons about racial justice and respect. It tells the story of a young girl named Scout and her father, Atticus Finch, a lawyer. He defends a black man wrongfully accused of raping a white woman. In the end, an all-white jury sentences Tom Robinson to death. The book is set in the American South in the 1930s, but it was published 50 years ago on July 11th, 1960. It came out as the civil rights movement in the United States was gaining strength. Laws and customs in the South, however, still kept blacks and whites mostly separated. A mockingbird is a kind of gray songbird. The book gets its title from something Atticus Finch was told in his childhood when his father gave him a gun. Atticus Finch says his father told him it was a sin to kill a mockingbird because they don't hurt anyone, they just make music. Melinda Bird Murphy is head of the Alabama Center for Literary Arts. She says the moral of the story is be kind to one another, show human empathy and sympathy. Ms. Bird Murphy has read the book 4 times. She is a native of Harper Lee's hometown of Monroeville, Alabama. The author, who published only the one novel, is still alive, but rarely speaks publicly. Some people say To Kill a Mockingbird treats racism in a way that is simplistic, even offensive to blacks, and out of date in today's America. Still, it has been translated into more than 40 languages and has sold over 40 million copies. It won a Pulitzer Prize and is often required reading in high school. Gregory Peck won an Academy Award for playing Atticus Finch in the 1962 film version. The story takes place in a town that Harper Lee called Macomb, but she based the characters on real people she knew growing up. Since then, Monroeville has changed a lot. A number of African Americans serve in the local government. The courthouse, made famous by the book, is now a museum. A small shop and a fast food restaurant called Mel's Dairy Dream have replaced Harper Lee's childhood home. In Monroeville and around the country, fans of To Kill a Mockingbird are celebrating its 50th anniversary. Events include readings, discussions, and movie showings. And that's the VOA Special English Education
This
Report.
is the VOA Special English Education Report. Cranes are large birds with long legs and necks. In Japan and other East Asian cultures, they represent luck and long life. Japanese tradition says a person who folds 1,000 paper cranes gets the right to make a wish. Some school children in the United States have been folding cranes. They want to show they care about the victims of the March 11th earthquake and tsunami in Japan. Almost 40 Japanese American students attend Somerville Elementary School in Ridgewood, New Jersey. But all 525 students at the school have heard about the disasters. So they have decorated their school with paper origami cranes. Their wish is for a speedy recovery for the Japanese people. Art teacher Samantha Stankiewicz says the activity gave students a way to express empathy for victims. She says, "For children, the folding of the cranes has been a really positive way for them to feel like they're actively engaged." One boy said, "The crane is a symbol of hope, so we try to have a lot of hope for those people in Japan." And a girl at the school said, "It makes me feel really happy that everyone's caring for another country." And that care was not just in the form of paper cranes. The school principal, Lorna Oates Santos, says children at Somerville Elementary raised about $2,000 for disaster relief agencies. The two agencies they chose were the American Red Cross and Save the Children. The school also has a television club that produces weekly programs on different subjects. Fourth grade teacher Gabrielle King is the director of the club and says the students were involved in the school's efforts. When the earthquake happened, she says, the children wanted to know what they could do to inform other students and raise awareness for the people in Japan. So they decided to do a show on the earthquake and to also make the origami cranes. Some American children have shown their feelings for the victims in Japan in other ways. Yasuhisa Kawamura is Japan's Deputy Consul General in New York. He says one young girl brought a painting she had made to the consulate. The painting showed the two countries, Japan and the United States, shaking hands over the ocean and saying, "We are with you." Mr. Kawamura said consulate staff members were very moved and touched by this young girl's expression. The East Asia program at Cornell University in the United States has a lesson plan and directions for folding origami cranes. You can find a link at voaspecialenglish.com. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Education Report. In November, the Institute of International Education in New York published its yearly report on international students in the United States. The report says more than 690,000 attended American colleges and universities during the last academic year. That number was a record high. It was an increase of 3% from the year before, but it was mainly the result of heavy growth from one country, China. China passed India as the top country sending students to the United States. The president of the institute, Alan Goodman, says the economic crisis could have limited growth from other countries. The Institute of International Education publishes its report called Open Doors with support from the State Department. The latest report is for the academic year that ended this past June. It says China sent more than 127,000 students. That was an increase of 30% over the previous year. India was the top sending country for 8 years, but last year it was in second place, followed by South Korea. Among the top sending countries, Japan showed the greatest decrease, a drop of 15%. For a 9th year, the University of Southern California in Los Angeles reported the largest number of foreign students, nearly 8,000. The most popular field of study for international students in the United States is business and management, followed by engineering. But the report noted a 9% decrease for intensive English language programs. Alan Goodman says the reason may have been the recession. He says English language training is often the most costly part for students beginning their studies. But Mr. Goodman pointed to an increase in another area: the number of foreign students at the undergraduate level. He says traditionally, study in America has been overwhelmingly at the graduate level. He says that has changed in the past several years. There has been almost an equal interest by families in sending students here for undergraduate education. He believes that is going to continue. There are 4,000 accredited colleges and universities. International students make up only about 3% of the total enrollment. What that means, he says, is that there is a lot of room for growth. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal.